I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Mentorship Monday with Michelle and Maren. We are back again, and we have both feet planted and grounded here, not in a grocery aisle right now, but here with all of you
Right.
guys
It's
right
actually
here, right now.
so funny that you said we have both feet planted and grounded because I'm actually sitting like crisscross in my chair right now. My feet are not touching the floor.
Mine are. Mine are. That was the biggest message from my guides this week was slowing everything down, and they're like ground, ground, ground.
Yeah. Oh,
You know, because there's
oh my
such an
God.
influx of energy. Yeah.
Okay, is that what's going on? Because now, granted, I am taking a little bit of a sinusy thing, so I'm taking some sinus medication that it's
Mm-hmm.
like Sudafed and it makes you kind of speedy and
Yeah.
jittery and
Yep.
whatnot. But I've taken it before and it hasn't made me feel like this. I have like the worst restless leg right now. It's like I go to
Mm.
bed and it's just like it's just moving like this. The energy is just I was even like sitting in bed and
Mm-hmm.
I felt myself going like my energy is like rocking like this. And
Yeah.
I have been all week long. It's so funny. I was like, I have to ground. I have to
Yeah.
like I have done so many grounding activities all week long to try to calm the energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if, yeah, it is. It's got to be the energy. And my husband was like, I think it's the energy. Like, I think it's just so funny for him to say, like he would be like, that's your medicine. But he's
Mm-hmm.
changing. So,
Yeah. Everything's changing. And so it's interesting because yesterday I had a session with somebody, and something that came through was um the the loved one that was being channeled was talking about how this person, because this person was having a lot of sensitivity that seemed to have just kind of really come up, like what we've been saying, affected by food and other things. And the information that came through was a really good reminder that we are never, even when we think we're stagnant, even when we think like, oh, I didn't change anything, I didn't do anything, and all of a sudden I'm feeling this. We have to remember that our energy is consistently moving and we're expanding like, what is the expansion? It's our sensitivity. Like, we're expanding our senses. And when we're consciously doing this work, you're
yeah,
asking for it, you're giving your
yeah,
will. So you're
yeah,
directing the energy and expanding.
yeah,
So there's going to be things that we did at one time, foods that we ate, things that we took that are not going to feel the same now.
yeah,
And then 2 months from now, that changes. That's where we're
yeah.
at. We're changing, we're evolving quickly.
I had that exact thought this week. So I went to a spiritual class this week, an in-person one, my very first in-person.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
And then I couldn't sleep that night. And it was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I think I picked up all the energy at that class. I didn't do anything to ground before the class. It just like, I just completely forgot that I am empathic. You know what I mean? And I just thought I was just gonna la-di-da into that class. And
Yeah.
then, and then I paid for it. And so
Yeah.
I just remember I told myself, I'm like, I have to remember that I have to do things differently. I have to slow down. I have to take time to ground. I have to say, no, I can't do this because I have to do a yoga or I have to do a meditation or I just have to do that for myself to prepare for all the energy that I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So I, you know, I
Mm-hmm.
made a mental
Mm-hmm.
note of that I need, you've got to do that.
Yeah.
You've got to just
Yeah.
make adjustments. We
Yeah.
are
And
changing.
and that's why awareness and staying present is not sticking to, you'll notice there's a common theme. This is what I've noticed anyway in my own journey, is the common theme of, I'll say detachment, but it's that every different stage, like everything else, changes. And
Hmm.
so when we get accustomed to something like, well, this is the way I've always done it, and then it doesn't work anymore, or it's not having the
Mm-hmm.
same effect, it doesn't mean something's broken. It means that
Mm-hmm.
there's change taking place. And so it's starting to do things maybe a little differently. And what you just mentioned about going to the spiritual class and going physically, was it the physical that made the difference? Yes and no. Because we know that energy, it doesn't matter whether we're physical or not. It's we connect no matter what. That's why all of these things are possible through the internet. It has taught us on a collective level how powerful energy is in working in these ways. But you have expanded so much in your own sensitivity that that experience when going into something that is on the spiritual level, so you're all focused in that area. And if it had have been maybe a sit down, you might have done something with your boundaries, you might have done something differently, but it was a whole different way of working with your energy because you're in a different environment. Everything is different. So that's really important what you just said, because it's not about us being uh disciplined in a way that we have to do certain things. It's about us recognizing, and that's why these going through the circumstance of feeling when your energy is too high and all over the place, you have to experience that or have understood what it feels like to be out of control, or what it feels like when your energy is too high, to be able to then adjust it and work with our boundaries. Because we will never, as long as we are in this body, we will never be escaped from energy. Well, I mean, energy is everything, but the consistency of working with energy and what our requirements will be. And so, like, even Maren and I, we're sitting here, we're talking to everybody about what we experience. That doesn't mean everybody listening is going to do the exact same things we do. It means that, oh, hey, wait a minute. Maybe somebody listening is saying, I did something this week and I noticed this about myself, and maybe I need to clean up on my energy routine a little bit right now. Maybe I need to pay a little more attention, because it's allowing us to understand that our awareness and our intention and how we direct our energy is consistently moving. And as long as you're growing and you want to grow, it's going to keep going in that direction. So I'm really glad you mentioned that and said that. That's good. Um, I know you have something you want to share. You have a story that you want to share, but there's something else that I think we should talk about.
Yes. So, let me talk about it.
Yes, because I think you know what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so there was a comment on our comments under our video for last
yeah,
week that I think is such a good comment, because it's such a good, it's a common misconception that I think people make. And so I just really wanted to bring it to attention and clear some things up, because, like, I know this isn't the only person that's thinking what the commenter said, and I
yeah,
think I was probably the same way before. So
yeah,
I thought it would
yeah,
be a really good discussion.
yeah.
Um, but anyway, so someone commented on our page, how can Michelle see through dimensions, but she can't see that that hamster was very pregnant? And I wanted to write a reply, but I was like, it's too long. I'm going to talk about it. And plus, I didn't want it to come across like snooty or snippy or anything,
No,
because I think
that's
it's
a
such a
really,
valid, good,
yeah,
such a good misconception. So
yeah,
I wanted to bring it up. But
very good.
anyway,
Yeah,
yeah, so I just wanted to say that using our psychic abilities, it's not like we have these x-ray glasses that we walk around with 24/7, and we can see 24/7 into different dimensions or into like psychic realms or read energy 24/7. It's something that we have to put our attention to in order to do it. And so it's kind of like if you were going to the grocery store and everybody can do math, and if you graduated high school you can do math up to a pretty high level, right? And so that would be like seeing into dimensions at a very high level, right?
Hmm.
But when you go to the grocery store and you buy your groceries, how often do you like total in your head how much everything's going to cost? Or do you just put
Hmm.
what's in your shopping cart in your shopping cart, and you're not paying attention to that like final number? It's like something that you have to put your attention to. If you want to calculate your total in your head, you have to just put attention to that and you can do it. But most of the time, we walk through life not putting attention to things like that. Or like, if you wanted to count calories, everybody can count, everybody can do math. Everybody kind of generally knows you have a nutrition label on everything, right? So you could eat and count all your calories if you wanted to put your attention to that. But most of us don't, including myself, right?
Yeah.
So it's just this thing that it's just kind of like you have to be putting your attention to it to get it. Now, I feel like some people might say, like, well, what about when people have these psychic experiences and they're like, oh, well, so and so just, I just overheard so and so say this, or oh, I just heard Eric say this. I feel like with that, yes, when you're sitting in this chair, you're kind of ready. And so your brain is like automatically ready for that, like psychic information. But I would also say that's like going to the grocery store and everybody's talking around you. And again, you're just focused on your grocery list and you're not focused in on those conversations. And every now and then you might hear someone say something, but you don't know what it's in regards to unless you put your focus on it and start paying attention to that conversation. So it's not these x-ray glasses, it's a muscle that you have to attune to. And that's why everyone can do it. So
Yes.
if you think you can't do this and you think you don't get spiritual information, it's just because you've never put your attention there. And once you start putting your attention there, it will grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and become easier. Just like doing simple math becomes easier the more that you do it.
Yes.
So I hope that answers the question, Michelle. I don't know if you have any more
I
you'd like to add to that, but
I would, and that is excellent because that is absolutely true, and I feel very similar with you. I agree with you there. What I will add to that is this. I do this work and I live this work. This is my life. I know that I live maybe a little differently than other people, but that's because this is how it feels for me. That does not mean I have X-ray vision, that I am an average human being in all of the ways. I'm a mom, a wife, and I do know that I have um, sensory, that I do feel things and see things maybe differently because I'm attuned to it, because I've done this day in and day out for a very long time. And so there are things that I feel, but do not forget this. And Maren, you and I have talked about this, and I will always talk about this and say this. Our life here in our own personal physical life, because I do this work and you do this work, Maren, it does not mean that all of a sudden I see through everything. I have all the answers for myself, for my family. I don't have any problems or don't run into anything. That's not how it works. So I can sit here, and when I'm in service for somebody else, my attention, like you said, my attention's here. I know what I do and I know how to work with my energy because I practiced it and worked with it for day in, day out, over and over. But if I walked around open and looking at everything, I would be a overwhelmed, slippery, leaky, energetic mess. The way
mhm.
that I was, maybe slightly different, but the way that I was at one time when I didn't understand how to work with my energy. So, in this particular circumstance, I want you to remember one thing. Getting those hamsters wasn't just about getting a hamster. There are so many layers, and I don't tell everybody when we're having our podcast or we tell a story. I don't always go into all the different, the lessons of what this taught Marcus, or maybe what personally what message spirit gave me to why that happened. So we're not going to see things for ourselves that is going to take away from our own discovery on our path. Spirit is not going to, no matter how many times I ask Eric, what's the lottery numbers, Eric? I'm not going to get that.
Did you know actually that psychics have a higher incidence of winning lotteries than other people?
Yes,
And there's that
yes.
whole the Silva method is
Hmm.
all about like the highest winning um I don't know if you'd call it lottery, but like lottery, like where you raffle, whatever, winner, she uses the Silva method, which is all about
Yes.
manifestation and energy and like, working with energy.
So this is part of the, let's take the whole ideas of what everybody believes psychics are. Let's just take that right off and even take the word psychic out of it. And let's talk about it being attuned, tuning into frequency,
Hmm.
because that's
Hmm.
what everything is. And
Yeah.
so you have to also remember, if it's not like, we're going to have some things that are going to be really obvious, and there's reasons for it. Everyone's life is like one step leads to the next step. And sometimes when we're working with this energy for ourselves, and everybody who is working in service with spirit with other people know that it takes a little practice to keep going back into ourselves. But when I was learning to help other people, I had 2 years of what I call hibernation, of working with myself. And that was digging into the deepest places of myself, which over time helped me have more clarity to work for other people in doing this. That wasn't my original intention when I started doing that. My intention was because I couldn't survive. I wasn't surviving, I was drowning. So when we talk about why, 'cause when you say this comment, there's so many times that I've read on different, trying to think, like channeling Eric, on people saying all the time, well, why can't they do this? Or why can't they do this? Or why does this psychic say they can talk to this person and they can't do this? Because it's not a magic trick. And there's also one thing that really helps us have clarity, which is knowing ourselves, understanding our discernment. And when we get shown something or go through an experience, and I'll just tell you, I wasn't upset about the baby hamsters because it's unfolded many little things that have come from it. So I joke and say, yes, we're stuck with these hamsters. But the truth is that that was representation. Right. This isn't a sad cry.
Start so happy.
It's hard to be vulnerable. It's taken me a lot of years. Sorry, my ugly cry. It's taken me a lot of years to get to this point. So the truth is, seeing those baby hamsters was representative of ushering in a part of my life that I never thought we'd see as a family. And the reason why I didn't say that was because it was so emotional. So never discount something. Never discount your experiences as thinking that you're not, that you're doing something wrong, or that something is not true because you're not seeing the full picture. Because that was actually a really good comment. And I see it a lot because I know that, and I appreciate it, that we don't know. How could we know? Because I see what other people go through. And I know what I've been through that I've not shared. And I know there's a lot of people listening who are feeling the same. They can understand as I'm saying this that they've been through things that they don't share with other people because of fear of being rejected or laughed at. And that was me for a long, long time. So those little hamsters are freedom, new starts, and a pretty good funny joke. Because I'll tell you, this is the raw. This stuff. And I'll never apologize for crying in front of everybody as far as I mean, I think I pretty much let it all out now. The whole world knows everything. But I guess what this has all come down to is just everybody has a right to be who they are. And everybody has a right to share what they feel they need to share for whatever reason. I'm saying this because I've just seen so many wonderful, beautiful things come out of people from the deepest, darkest places. And, you know, I don't ever really intend on coming on and crying all over our podcast. But I hope if anybody gets anything out of this, is that this is probably the messiest, funniest, hardest yet most rewarding life. And man, oh man, that's why I think it's taken me so long to write my book, because I just keep updating it. I keep shifting things and changing, so now I've got more than one on the go. But, I don't know, Maren. That one just got me in a weird spot. Oh.
Well, I have to say, the fact that you're bringing up how these hamsters had so much symbolism, it really actually leads into my story that I was going to share. so, so it's kind of like the perfect cue up, but I don't want to leave you.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm
and
not
that's
sad crying. Sometimes it takes me a little bit because I'm a little bit of an ugly crier. And I'm not really, like, if you saw me sad crying, it's different.
Yeah.
This is like a cathartic, like,
yeah.
sad crying is really something else with me. But, no, you're not leaving me in any weird spot. I'm
Well,
good.
how are the hamsters?
Really, I am.
Okay. How are the
What's
hamsters?
that?
How are the
they're
hamsters?
good.
They're
good.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you still have
Speedy
all of
is
them?
especially good.
Were you able to
Oh no,
find home?
we've got them all. We've got
You
them
still
all.
got them all. Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. We do have
I
pictures. I haven't even put the pictures up yet, but
Oh
we
yeah,
have
you got to
pictures.
do that.
They're doing excellent. They're doing
Okay,
excellent.
good. Good.
Yeah.
I love
So,
how they are just a symbol of, you know, new beginnings for you. And I know your family does seem to be in such a good place right now. And, so I can see why that was, it's like a gift. I think when we get messages, it's like sometimes it comes in right away and things pop in and you're like, oh, that hamster's pregnant. And then sometimes things, are left unsaid because it's like a gift that they're giving you for you to unwrap. So like even if you
yes.
do put your focus in on it, and I don't know whether you've tried or not, but
I know I
when you do
didn't. I
put
didn't
your
even
focus,
think. It wasn't even there.
yeah, it's like you don't even get it. I know I'll do that at night. I'll be like, what do I need to know about this? What do I need to know about this? And I'll get blank. I'll get nothing. And then something will happen. I'll be like, oh, that's why they didn't share it with me. Like it's just this beautiful
Yeah.
unfolding and it's something that kind of gets taken away if I had speaking of, so I had a client and her new boyfriend had passed away. And so I was kind of like, at first he said that he loved her to me, and I was like, whoa, like you guys were already in the love phase? Like this is pretty like fresh. Like I didn't know,
Mm-hmm.
like did I just and so I kind of like questioned him on it, like, wait, did you love her? Did you not love her? Like, should I say that out loud?
Mm-hmm.
Should I not say it out loud? And so then he kind of went silent, and so we didn't say it. So I never said that, he loves you. And then she ended up going to his house to like get his mother wanted to give her some things. And so she went to the house to get a few of his like personal items. And in his closet, he wrote, I don't want to say her name, but I love so and so. And the mom showed it to her. And I was like, that's why he went hush, because what a bigger gift to get the I love you straight from him than
Yeah.
from me. And so I do feel like sometimes spirits hold back on telling
Yes.
us things, even when we
Absolutely.
have a
Many
full
times. Yeah.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, anyways, thank you so much for whoever wrote that. And you can tell by your comment, you wrote it in all,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that was not
sentiment.
a I don't take
Yeah.
that as a even if it was a criticism in that way,
Yeah.
even if it was, that's okay. That's okay.
The
But no.
question, right? You have to be able to question. That's how you
Yes.
grow. So I'm glad that
Yes.
we're here to be able to
Yes.
answer. But anyway, so speaking of animals, I have a story.
Okay.
Okay, so this week I had a dream, and you know how like spirits come to me in dreams. I'm a pretty active dreamer.
Okay.
And this time, so I woke up in the middle of the night, and then okay, I don't want to get into too many details, but I woke up in the middle of the night. I was my husband had to go to the bathroom, woke me up. I was still laying in bed, and I felt a dog come to me, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." Like, I don't normally get dog. Like, it's interesting. I like have all these little buttons that, like, I know where my grandma pushes on this, and my grandpa pushes on that, and grandma's push here, and mom's push here, and I'm starting to get like a little like system of taps. And when they tap on my leg and like I don't know if you know sign language, I'm gonna do it on my shoulder just so you can see, but it's like that's how you say like come here, and like you do that.
Yeah.
When I get a
Yeah.
tap like that, I know it right on my leg, right where you would do it for sign language. I know that that is a dog.
Oh,
And
cool.
and I've had like dogs come through like that. My dog comes through like that. Anyway, so I got that in the middle of the night. I was like, oh, there's a dog here. Okay. And I didn't think anything of it. And honestly, I thought I was probably my dog because she comes to visit all the time. But I just thought, oh, that's cool. Go back to sleep. Well, I ended up having a dream. And I had a dream that this dog in spirit came to me and was so worried because the dog said that his owners were poisoning the children. And I was like, what? And he was like, come help me. My owners are poisoning the children. And so I like went with them or went with the dog to this place, and um they were like children, and they had like blue goo in their mouth. It was almost like she was feeding them, as the woman was like feeding them, and they had blue goo. And I was like, oh my God, get it out, get it out. Like, don't eat that. And I was like helping them. And anyways, it was just very odd. And all day long, I just thought, was that a dream? Was that a dream that I just, but it felt such like a spirit encounter. Like I've had like spirits that have been murdered that have come to me in that exact same way, where like they need help, and they like come to me, and then I go somewhere with them. And so I was like, gosh, that was exactly the way a spirit dream would come to me. But I've never had a dog come to me before. And I don't know who these people are or how I can help, or I don't know. I almost like felt very helpless. I'm like, if this is real, I feel helpless. And then if this isn't real, this is very bizarre. And thought about it all day. And then that night, I went to this spirit class. And again, this is the first time I've gone to an in-person spirit class. My friend goes to it. And so I went with her. She was like, I think you'd really like this class, based on what you do, you should come to this class. And so I was like, okay, like I'll go check it out. So I went. The whole class was about animal communication. And I was like, and she was like, does anyone have any stories about, animal communication? And I was like, mine is too dark for this class. I cannot share. Anyways, so I don't know. I just kind of felt like that was validation that I went to this class, and it was all about animal communication. But what do you think of that story, Michelle? Is it like, what do you pick up on it?
Well, you work with children every day.
Yeah.
There's also a very big conversation in the world about, because Spirit was giving a direct message about what children are taking in for nourishment. And when I mean nourishment, I mean not only the physical nourishment, but their emotional and mental nourishment. There's something there about the current focus about when I hear poison, I'm connecting it to fear, connecting it to something else. And I don't mean I have the specific answer on what it is, but I get the theme. The theme of it is what I feel. I also feel that there's a little more to it. So you may have, and I don't mean a dream, you may have an experience or a string of thoughts that come in that kind of connect the two. Because I can see another piece, another energetic piece that is still to come. Maren, you have such a strong connection to the children. And it's a very pure energy. It's a very delicate one, and I think it will play out throughout your life in a bigger way than you can see right now. So I feel like that was very layered, what you saw. Layer one was the dogs, was the animal communication.
Yes. I just, I don't know. It was just so, just everything about it was so unique, right? Like
Yeah.
the dog coming to ask for help, like that in itself, like knowing that dogs know what is going on in their household, and then knowing to, like, I don't know if the dog is alive, and somehow able to, use telekinesis to connect with me. Or if the dog had passed and is like protective and watching over the family and came to me as a spirit. I'm not really sure in what state the dog was. So I think that is such an interesting component right there.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% sure to be honest with you because um it doesn't feel ultimately like a spirit of a dog or a
Yeah.
physical dog. Like I'm not getting a hit on either or.
Well, and then I kind of wondered if it was like a spirit guide that showed up as a dog because they knew that when I went to the animal class that it would all be validated by going to the animal class. Like
Yeah,
their presence.
that
Okay.
hits right there.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Although
it does
so
feel
cool if
layered.
dogs could. Yeah, I know. It would be so cool if dogs could do that though.
Well, and like that's why we never want to discount what we get through our dream state because some of them have these layers to them and like when anyone listening when you have your dreams, if you recall the feeling, symbols, colors, just jot them down and leave it and walk away. Um, because Maren, you are what I would describe a very experienced dreamer because you've been having them regularly for quite some time and you get a great deal of information through
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, so you have a pretty good, like you understand your own patterns,
Okay.
right? And that's important for all of us because we will have certain things will come out like you get a lot of information from your guides and you get spirits that come to you that there's always a thread somehow. So whether it's the actual spirit and you're connecting with their loved one or sometimes I've noticed that you get like today like themes
Yeah.
and so it's like connecting you to the theme of and then you have experiences that tie in, but you get very direct experiences too.
Yeah. Okay. I have a
So,
story too, but I kind of want to,
okay,
okay, I'm
good.
going to give you a little bit more detail of this one and then I'm going to tell you more. Um, so so I felt like when I was in the presence of the family, it felt like it was foster care. It felt like it was these children did not necessarily belong to this woman and she wasn't taking very good care of them. And
Mhm.
it felt very, or daycare or something. It just felt like she was not the biological mother of these children. And anyway, so then I'm reading the news the next day, and there was a local news where this woman gave up her birthrights to her child, and her children they're either adopted or in foster care, I'm not sure. But now that foster mom and dad are like facing criminal charges for like neglect and whatnot of the children. And I was like, well, that is an interesting story that really, coincides with my dream. However, I don't know if that is the that is the specific family that this dog was coming to me about, or if there's others, or I don't know. It was just like one more validation.
I'll tell you, Maren, what I'm just hearing right now that I'm being given for you is that sometimes what you're experiencing is to show you how valid it is that you are getting information that is relevant to what is occurring. Um,
Okay.
because you questioning it, um, because they're not showing me there's like action to take or that there's something. It's the notice yourself of look at the time frame. You have the dream, the dog, and then you go right to the animal communication. And then we go back to um Was this the next day that you saw the newspaper or the day after?
I think it was the next day. Could have been the day after, but I think it was the next day.
Because they're showing me flags. So they're showing me like almost like little checkpoints, like little flags of whoa, like look at how quick that was. Look how direct that was. And not necessarily for you to put action to it, but for you to know that there's something that is becoming stronger when it comes to if we want to call it premonition, because there's a big difference between premonition and intuition, right? To when we see something that has um valid to what's about to happen. And not everybody gets it. Not everybody dreams in that way. So that is something that I get strong ability to you with the dreams. So I would take that as a for what comes next because you're going to have something else and it was there so that you wouldn't question. And it could be something that's a little bigger, like seeing something that maybe has a little more weight to it, and for you to see this connection. So when you see the next thing, you're not going to go right, because there may be more importance to it because it feels
Yeah.
like a lead up.
Okay. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I felt
Yeah.
really helpless. And so if I know, okay, there's a lead up, it's
Yeah.
a lead up or it's something
Yeah.
I'm being prepared for, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Because
So
a lot of like they work with us um to strengthen our abilities in different areas. And it's so fascinating because our guides will work with us through our day-to-day encounters and obviously our dreams, and your dreams are very strong, and there are things and have been things right from day one that have come through to you that are connected to world events, because that's the energy that they're giving me is you may see something that could have a little larger effect to it, and it may be something that you can't do something with directly, but there may be some things that you can say or do or advise, or I mean, I know that's really evasive, but
like animals are going to be working with me more too, because so then my husband and I were on a walk this week.
yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, look at that hawk." And there was like a hawk flying above us carrying a stick. And right when I looked up, he dropped the stick right in front of us. Well, it actually ended up being like right next to us.
They're being
And so
handed the baton. Sorry.
yes, and
Yeah.
I chat GPT'd it. And it was like the hawk was giving you a gift. And I was like, oh, I've heard about that, where birds like bring you sticks and things as gifts. And here's this hawk that literally just dropped us a stick. It's a big stick too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you think?
That's a well, because a hawk circling, birds are amazing messengers, and a hawk circling is it has to do with focus, with goals, goal orientated, with new beginnings, with
Mhm.
like stay the line, keep going. And particularly that one was, and now it's your turn. That was a handing it to you, like now it's your turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Right.
the thing is that spirit speaks to us very subtly on a day-to-day basis, and every now and again it gets loud. It'll be loud, and then it'll get real quiet. But normally it's very subtle. But once you see, you can't unsee.
Do you feel like, I don't know if it's just that I'm kind of maybe more perceptive of the animals this week because that was the theme of that class.
Yeah.
But it just seems like animals have been coming out of the woodwork and like doing things like that. Like gifting
Yes.
and giving
Yes.
sticks and like communicating and talking and like your hamster giving hamsters and um
Yes. Yeah, we get a lot of signaling from the natural world, from our
yeah,
animals, and yeah, a lot of messages will come through, but also to show you where you're at on your journey.
okay,
So you're in a receiving mode.
yes,
You're in the
clearly.
receiving.
I
Yes.
received the stick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it is. Not more complicated than that. That is where you are. And it's for your husband too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, isn't it like so interesting that every time, and I mean, that speaks to my dream too. It's like you want a sign, and then you're like, no, I need a signier sign than that. Or, well, I need,
Sign here, sign please. Sign
yeah.
here.
I mean, Hawk, if that was for me, like, can you drop a bigger stick? Can you actually have it hit my head? Can you, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's every time you think this might, but then I like think back and I'm like, when has a hawk ever flown over me and dropped something in front of me? Never. You know what I mean? Like, how long has this just never happened? There was this giant praying mantis on the window. And I'm like, when does that ever happen? When have I ever seen a praying mantis that large? You know what I mean? Like, there's different things, I don't know, that I feel like they do to communicate.
Yes.
Have you had things like that happen where they
Yes.
just
Yes.
like do
I've gone through,
random?
yes. Um, in fact, I think I sent you a picture of this, maybe it's a couple of years ago now, where there was a big praying mantis on my windowsill. Do you remember that?
No.
Um, but I've never even had, like, where did that come from? I've never even seen one around here.
Yeah.
And there was this
Yeah.
big one right on our window, like looking directly at me. But yes, remember I had a lot of interesting animal encounters, but that one with the bird on Christmas Day with Rob's grandma, do
Oh,
you remember that one?
yeah. I do remember that
That
one.
was crazy. And actually, I did have something with a dragonfly recently. Oh, it was a few weeks back, but I've told you. I don't know if I told you about the dragonfly, but I told you about this period of time. My brother's best friend passed away when they were on their trip, and he. So this was about the week after he had passed away, and my brother was sitting outside of my parents' house and was fixing something for my mom, and I'd come up to him and was just kind of small talking and that, and asked him how he was doing. And he says, "Oh, okay." And then we started talking about his friend. And all of a sudden, okay, like here we are. It was warm and sunny. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Sky is blue, nothing. And all of a sudden, we both look up, and there is this, which he thought was a hummingbird. And I'm like, that's not a hummingbird. That's a dragon. Huge, biggest dragonfly I've ever seen. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Right over top, like directly over top of our heads. And I look up and I'm like, oh my God, Mike. I said, Dave's listening to us talk about him. I said, that just came the minute we said his name. And he just kind of looks up and he goes, huh. And I said, let's wait. So I said, Dave, if that's you, come and move over and circle over Mike's head. Rob's standing here. Everybody's watching. Okay. Dragonfly moves over, circles around Mike's head, my brother Mike. And then I'm like, okay, Dave. I said, if that's you, do a figure eight. No kidding. I had to have my brother come on here so he could tell everybody. The dragonfly goes like this around the top of us. My daughter was, Shelby, she was in the driveway and we were leaving to go somewhere. And she goes, Mom, can you hurry up and quit chatting? Like, we've got to go. And I'm like,
Stop loving the dragon.
there's a dragonfly. There's some business going on here that we're in a moment. we're in a
Oh,
moment here. But it was amazing. It was amazing.
yeah,
But I think the biggest thing is it was amazing watching my brother experience
yeah,
that,
yeah.
like
Did
seeing
he?
him witness it.
Okay. And he was like, wow. Because it's so funny. It's like you need a sign your sign. It's not just him. You need to do a circle. No, that
Yeah,
we need a sign your sign. Do a figure eight.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Well, he's had a lot of experiences himself. Like he's had a lot of changes in the last 6 months, and he's had a lot of spiritual experiences that have been, happening one after another, small ones, but just things missing and appearing and just
wow.
things that are happening to him that was happening to me at one time. And watching
Hmm.
him go through this has been very, it's like that bittersweet because you watch somebody you love going through something difficult, but they're
Hmm.
also growing so much, and I'm just so proud of them, too. So it was really nice to have that experience with him. But I have never seen a dragonfly that big. Like
Wow.
that was
That's
huge.
unreal.
It did look like a bird.
So, what would you say to everybody about like when it's important to listen to the animals? Because obviously there's like animals all around us. I see animals all the time when I go on a walk. But like when should we stop and take notice that the animals are trying to communicate with us?
Well, they always are. Because here's the thing. Nature is a reflection of source energy as we are. So
Mm,
you have to remember that when you're tuning in, what are you tuning in for? What are you looking for? Nature will, because there's a couple things going on. Is it's frequency based. So when our frequency is closed up and we're more laser focused and not focused to everything that's happening around us, because my goodness, so much happens around us that we don't see. That when we really slow down, we start to see a lot. And see, if nature's going to give you a message, so if an animal's going to give you a message, it's going to come. You don't need to look for it. It's going to come just by being observant. But like anything, uh, if you have an animal that stops and drops a stick in front of you, that's like an eagle or something like that, that's a little unusual that it
oh
would be
my
like right
God, did
here at
you
the
say a
open.
stick?
Yes.
I
Isn't that what you already said? Didn't you already say that?
thought you said if you've got an animal that stops and drops his spry stick. And I was like, Michelle, okay.
That's why your eyes went like, what are you saying?
Okay, okay,
What
that's
kind of show
good
is
enough.
this, Michelle? What kind of show is this? Who are you really, Michelle? Like, how many hats do you have?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
No, but I mean, if something happens that's obvious, like,
Okay.
take it, right? A stick. STIC. Okay?
Oh,
But,
okay.
I mean, at all times, if you sit down and you quieten yourself, sit down somewhere, like, for example, here's if you have a park, if you have a backyard, a porch, anything, and you want to sit and see what spirit has to say to you, and whether you say it out loud or in your head, and you say, "Show me what nature has to say to me," and you sit quietly and allow nature to speak. Now, if you're not accustomed to sitting quietly and being able to read subtle energy, give yourself a break because it may not be real obvious. Then again, it might be because anything is possible. Anything is possible. But like anything else, every single person you cross paths with every day, every situation, everything you hear and listen to has a frequency and is a message, but may not be a message directly for you, which is why your discernment and being able to feel, that's what resonance is. We can hear words, we can hear someone speak, but when there is feeling there, when there is truth there, when there's something for you, you're going to
Yeah.
feel it in your body. That's why words are empty. It's
I
the
would see that
resonance.
as well too. It's the feeling because like, okay, it's if you're questioning it, you felt it, right? So like, you pass 100 animals or more a day, if you never
Yes.
felt it. But then there's
Yeah.
that one that makes you go, was that for me? You know, that
Yes.
was the feeling that you felt. And so you don't need
Yes.
to send me your sign. That is your sign because you
Yes.
felt it.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the most important thing to know is that the mind is the last to know. The body,
Gosh,
the
so
feeling
true.
knows first. The mind
Yeah.
will not. So when we use our mind to try to decipher and pull apart something that is not linear, that is feeling. That's why being an empath takes so long for many people to understand in the mind, because it is not in the mind. It is not a brain thing. It is a body. It is a feeling thing. It
Yeah.
is a sensory thing. The mind
Yeah.
just helps us sort it all out.
Yeah. That's true. That's
Yeah.
really true.
Yeah.
That is making me, I got a whole nother topic for a whole nother day about this book that I'm reading. So I can't wait to tell
Yeah.
you about that another
Good.
time. But
Good.
but
Well,
all
well,
right.
thanks for the good cathartic cry. I feel so much. I feel cleansed and great now. Thank you so much, everybody.
It just needed to come
Go.
out. And I'm
Yeah,
so
I
glad
hope everybody had a good
at the
cry with
beginning.
me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. So I just encourage everybody to, you know, you know what I think that it is? I was going to say, I encourage everybody to pay attention to the animals this week, but do you know what I think that it is? You talked about at the beginning of the session about how just that energy is turned up. I think the animals feel
Yeah.
it too, and that's why they're coming out.
Oh,
Like they probably
yeah.
feel it first and foremost,
Yes. Yes,
and
because
that's why they're really coming out.
yes, I want to say this before I lose it, but um what we just said about feeling, remember that our animals are not going around with the ego, with the they're not
Mm-hmm.
experiencing the world like we are. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's all sensory. It's feeling. So that's what they naturally do. So when you start to notice the patterns with animals and how they work and how they speak, then you start to realize, wait a minute, they're tuning into something way before we're catching into it. And that's why I think we talked about this before. I did channeling way back when they talked about, it was with Elisa, and they were talking about how uh, different cultures way back before technology, of course, and everything that we understand. How do we get weather? How do we know, how do we know when something was coming? No matter what it was that was coming, they would pay attention to the patterns of nature, the patterns of the animals, because they would feel vibrations and they have senses beyond what human physical senses can feel. So, as an empath, for those of us that are very highly empathic and with our senses, when we expand them beyond what we've typically been taught and understand, many of us have had senses that have been way beyond what's ever been understood anyway. But that's the importance of feeling it in the body. So watch nature. Watch how nature feels it in the body. Watch how the animals feel it, how they react. And that, with our conversation about grounding, lots of grounding, that would be a great thing for this week, is observe and ground and have a good cry if you need it. It doesn't have to be because you're sad. It can be because you're just so darn proud. Because that's what mine is. It's just, it's relief. It's a lot of relief. And I hopefully get to share all of those reasons why with everybody at some point. But it's just right now it's just good stuff. It's just all good stuff, and it just hasn't worked its way out to have a voice yet. But it's good stuff.
Good. I'm so
Yeah.
glad. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Michelle, as always, for your
Thank you.
invaluable insight. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Maren, and thank you, everybody. And as always, we hope that you have a wonderful week, that both feet are planted on the ground, and that you are feeling clear and calm. And if you're not, take a deep breath, have a good cry. And Maren and I will be here next week to love on each other, on each one of you. So have a wonderful week.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.